All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about a massive challenge for pretty much any fintech leader out there. How do you actually market your product in what has to be one of the most complicated, regulated, and high-stakes industries in the world? Well, the playbook we're going to unpack starts with one single fundamental truth. Yeah, this really gets to the heart of it. Unlike selling, say, a t-shirt or a simple software subscription, fintech marketing is built on a completely different foundation. It's all about trust. You're asking people to hand over their financial data, their hard-earned money, their future. And if you get that wrong, the consequences are, well, they're serious. So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you win when the stakes are just so incredibly high? It's definitely not about who can shout the loudest. It's about who can build the smartest, most trustworthy bridge to their customer. So let's start by looking at a huge pitfall. So many fintechs, they try to just copy and paste a generic growth playbook, and they very quickly find themselves caught in what we're going to call the fintech marketing trap. The thing is, the challenges in fintech are just relentless, and they all stack on top of each other. Every single campaign has to be meticulously compliant with regulations. You're up against this huge wall of skepticism from new users. Then you have the required KYC, or Know Your Customer process, which adds a ton of friction right at the moment when you want a super smooth sign-up. And as if that's not enough, big ad platforms like Meta and Google have way stricter rules for anything related to finance. The reality is, you can't just growth hack your way through all of this. It's just not going to work. Having a specialized approach isn't some nice-to-have luxury. It's absolutely essential for your survival and your ability to scale. Your old playbook, it's basically obsolete here. So this kind of unique, tricky environment, it demands a totally different kind of leadership. The answer isn't just a bigger team, it's a new type of leader. So it's time to meet the fractional CMO. So what is a fractional CMO? Well, think of it as top-tier strategic leadership, but on demand. They bring all the hard-won experience of a seasoned chief marketing officer, but without the full-time salary and commitment. This makes them absolutely perfect for those fast-growing fintechs that desperately need expert guidance to navigate these really complex waters. Okay, so what does this leader actually do? Well, the first thing they do is tackle that trust problem head-on. Their playbook starts by building a rock-solid foundation of trust, and they do it by perfectly aligning compliance with creativity. The strategy kicks off with something that sounds simple, but is actually pretty radical. Transparent, honest communication that your legal team can actually sign off on. From there, it's all about building and showcasing credibility. We're talking earned media, expert content, real social proof. And the golden rule through all of this is to prioritize clarity over hype. You've got to educate your users, not just sell them on exaggerated benefits. Now, once that trust foundation is in place, the focus can shift to growth, but a very specific kind of growth. We're talking about growth with guardrails. It's all designed to bring in new users in a way that's sustainable, cost-effective, and of course, compliant. So here's what that model looks like. First, you lean heavily into referral models. Why? Because a recommendation from a friend is the ultimate trust signal, and it dramatically lowers your customer acquisition cost, or CAC. Second, you become completely obsessed with the onboarding process, just smoothing out every single point of friction. Third, you stop shouting at everybody and you start segmenting your campaigns for laser-focused precision targeting. And finally, you tie it all together with smart content that nurtures people all the way from being just curious browsers to becoming your most loyal advocates. Now, I know this all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work? Let's take a look at the proof in the performance. You can see right here how this playbook systematically takes on the industry's biggest headaches. You're facing constant legal delays? Boom. You implement pre-cleared content and structured reviews. Your customer acquisition cost is sky high. You deploy targeted referral programs and lifecycle-based targeting. You see a ton of people dropping off during sign-up. You lead a UX simplification project to fix it. It's a direct solution to each problem. And here are the results in the real world. For one lending app, following this strategy led to a 40% reduction in their customer acquisition costs. A 40% drop. That is a massive impact on the bottom line, and it's driven entirely by these smart, trust-based tactics. Or how about this one? A neobank was struggling with painfully slow campaign launches. By creating a library of pre-approved, legal-reviewed messaging, they cut their campaign approval times by 60%. This is all about moving faster without breaking the rules. And for a wealth tech platform, switching from a really aggressive hard sell approach to these educational email journeys, what happened? They doubled their conversion rate. It just proves that in fintech, educating your users is one of the most powerful sales tools you have. So all of this naturally leads to a really critical question for any founder or marketing leader watching this right now. Is it time for your fintech to adopt this kind of model? Let's do a quick self-assessment. Is your customer acquisition cost climbing, even though you know you have product market fit? Are your marketing and legal teams in a constant state of war? Are you just burning money on ads but not seeing any real results? Or maybe your message just isn't landing in the market. These are all giant red flags that you don't have a team size problem, you have a leadership and strategy problem. And this quote just reframes the entire challenge perfectly. If you have a brilliant product that's ready to go, but it just isn't connecting with the market, the solution probably isn't to just hire more junior marketers or throw more money at ads. The solution is smarter, more specialized leadership. And that brings us to the final and most important question. I want you to take a hard look at your own strategy and ask yourself, is it built just to get short-term traction? Or is it fundamentally designed to earn the kind of trust that turns a one-time user into a lifelong customer? Because the answer to that question will define your future.